Hey there, welcome over here to my kitchen. I'm going to be showing you some more family favorite sheet pan recipes today. I absolutely love making sheet pan meals because you pretty much throw everything you're making for dinner onto one sheet pan, bake it into the oven, and then when it comes out of the oven, it is ready to serve. Also, sheet pan meals are very low mess. So I hope you enjoy this video. Let's head over to my kitchen and start cooking. We're getting kicked off today by making this amazing pork tenderloin, so we're going to begin on the vegetables first. I have about a pound of some Brussels sprouts right here. I just cut them in half and trimmed off the bottoms. Next, I have asparagus. I just trimmed the bottoms off of those asparagus. And I have about a pound of potatoes, red and golden. I just cut them into about bite-sized pieces. Now over to this large bowl, I'm going to add all of the veggies we just chopped up in. Now we're going to be adding about 4 tablespoons of some olive oil in with the vegetables. Next, you'll want to add the juice from half of a lemon, just a little shake of some salt and pepper, a half a teaspoon of some garlic powder and paprika. You could also add any more seasonings in that you would like. Give this a really good stir. Over to my sheet pan, I sprayed it with plenty of some nonstick spray, or you could use parchment paper to ensure that nothing sticks. I dumped my vegetables right on that sheet pan, and now I'm making a little hole in the center of the vegetables on my pan for my pork loin. I'm just using this Applewood smoked bacon flavor of pork loin. It's already seasoned. My family really loves it. I'm going to bake this on 425 degrees for 40 to 45 minutes, or until it reaches the internal temperature of 145 degrees. Here's the finished product. That pork loin was so good. The vegetables were nice and tender. My entire family loved it. My little daughter especially loved the pork though. I have to show you how to make these chicken fajitas. I really think you'd enjoy this recipe. I'm starting out by slicing 1 yellow pepper, 1 red onion, and 1 red bell pepper into smaller pieces. In my medium-sized bowl right here, I have about a pound of some chicken tenderloins. I'm adding all the vegetables that we just sliced up right on top of those tenderloins. Next, you'll want to drizzle it with about 3 tablespoons of some olive oil. In this little tiny bowl right here, the seasonings that I have are just a dash of some salt and pepper, 3 teaspoons of chili powder, a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, cumin, and paprika. Lastly, I just added the juice from a half of a lime. Give this a really good mix. Over to my sheet pan that I did line with some parchment paper, I just added that fajita mixture down. I'm spreading it out as even as possible. This is going to bake in a preheated oven to 425 degrees for about 20 minutes or until your chicken is completely cooked through. Here's the finished product. I just served my fajitas in a little tiny tortilla. I sprinkled some cheese on top, cherry tomatoes, jalapenos, cilantro, guacamole, and sour cream. These things are so delicious. And if you wanted to, you could always use shrimp as a substitute for chicken. I've done that plenty of times in the past. The sausage and vegetable sheet pan meal is unbelievably good, so I'm starting with about a pound of some little potatoes in this bowl. They're just the golden potatoes. I'm drizzling a tablespoon of olive oil on top and then a teaspoon of some Italian seasoning. Just give them a little shake of some salt and pepper and stir everything to combine. These potatoes are actually going to go in the oven to start baking before we put the rest of the ingredients on the sheet pan. So they're going to go in on 425 degrees for about 15 minutes. While they are in the oven, I'm just going to prepare the rest of the ingredients. So you see me just cutting up 1 orange bell pepper, a pound of some broccoli. You can use any type of vegetable you like for this recipe. These are just the vegetables that we already had on hand though. For the sausage, I'm just using this chicken and apple sausage. It is pre-cooked. You could use smoked sausage for this recipe, kind of whatever sausage you like, you could go ahead and use. After I placed all the vegetables in this large bowl, you're going to want to drizzle it with about a tablespoon of some olive oil. Next, to give it some extra flavor, I'm just adding about a teaspoon of some Italian seasoning and just a little shake of some salt and pepper. Mix this all together to combine. Here are my beautiful potatoes out of the oven. Now you're going to want to dump the sausage and the rest of the vegetables right onto your sheet pan. This is going to bake in your oven for an additional 20 to 25 minutes or until your broccoli is to the softness that you like it to be. Here is my plate of food. This is a winner sausage dinner for my family. I really love how I could throw so many vegetables onto that sheet pan and it is just so delicious. Now we're going to be making these ranch chicken legs with carrots and potatoes. We're working on the ranch marinade first. In this bowl, I have 1/3 cup of some melted butter. I'm going to be adding 3 tablespoons of some ranch seasoning mix to that. Next, I'll just add a 1/2 teaspoon of some paprika, 1/2 teaspoon of some pepper and salt. Mix this all together. I'm going to set this marinade to the side while I start working on our vegetables. I'm going to cut up about 4 carrots. These are just larger carrots. And then I'm also going to cut up a pound of potatoes. I'm using red and golden potatoes. I just placed my 5 chicken legs on my sheet pan. Of course, you could use more or less chicken legs depending on your preference. Along with our vegetables, I drizzled 1/3 cup of some chicken broth all over the top. Now you're going to dump the marinade that we made up on and kind of rub the marinade into the chicken legs and the vegetables. This will bake on 425 degrees for about 20 minutes. After those 20 minutes, pull it out of the oven and then go ahead and flip your chicken and flip the vegetables and then bake this in the oven for an additional 25 to 30 minutes. This chicken and vegetable recipe is a complete hit in my home. It just has so much great unique flavor. These mini meatloafs are such a classic meal for my family in our home, so we're going to start with the meatloaf mixture. In this medium-sized bowl, I'm adding a pound of some ground beef. My ground beef was 80/20. Next, I'm adding 1 egg, a 1/2 of an onion. I did dice the onion super duper finely. 1/4 cup of some milk, 3 tablespoons of ketchup, 3 teaspoons of some minced garlic, a 1/4 cup of panko breadcrumbs, just some salt and pepper to your taste, and then a 1/2 teaspoon of paprika, and then a 1/2 teaspoon of some Italian seasoning. You're going to mix this all together. I mixed it with my meat masher, and then I ended up mixing it with my hands. Now to work on the vegetables, I have about a pound of some yellow potatoes. I just cut them into bite-sized pieces. You're going to want to add 1 pound of some green beans to those potatoes. I did trim my green beans and they are fresh. Next, I'm adding 1 tablespoon of some olive oil with just a dash of some pepper and a teaspoon of some garlic salt. Mix this to combine. After I lined my sheet pan with some parchment paper and dumped my vegetables on that, I'm going to be forming the meatloaf mixture into 4 mini meatloafs. This is actually going to bake in my preheated oven to 425 degrees for about 25 minutes. While our dinner is baking away in the oven, I'm going to start on the ketchup mixture for on top of the meatloaf. So I just added in this little bowl 1/3 cup of ketchup, a tablespoon of brown sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, just a little dash of some salt and pepper, a 1/2 teaspoon of white vinegar, and you're just going to whisk this all together. So now that my meatloaf is out of the oven, I'm just going to brush this ketchup mixture on top of each of the little meatloafs. This is going to continue to bake in the oven for an additional 15 to 20 minutes. Here's my plate of food ready to be eaten. It's kind of funny, but one of my daughter's first foods she ever enjoyed eating was meatloaf. I think it's just because of the texture maybe, but I don't know. This meal is delicious. I really do enjoy making fish on my sheet pan just because the simplicity of it. So we're going to be making some sheet pan cod. In this little bowl, I just added 3 tablespoons of olive oil, next 3 teaspoons of minced garlic, a teaspoon of some cumin, paprika, coriander, onion powder, and then I whisked this together, and then I realized, oh man, I totally forgot to add in the juice from a half of a lemon. So now I'm just adding in the juice from a half of a lemon at this point, and then I'm going to give it one last whisk. I have 3 cod fillets on my sheet pan. I'm just pouring that mixture we just made up on top, and then I'm just going to brush it on as even as possible. Next, you're going to want to add your vegetables. So I have a pound of some Brussels sprouts. I just trimmed the ends and then removed the outer layer, which was a little bit dirty. So I'm just adding that around my cod. Next, you're going to want to add about 1.5 cups of some cherry tomatoes. I'm keeping it pretty simple for the seasonings on the tomatoes and the Brussels sprouts. So I just added a tablespoon of some olive oil with a dash of some salt and pepper. This is going to bake in a preheated oven to 400 degrees for about 20 minutes or until the cod's completely cooked. This definitely has to be one of my all-time favorite cod recipes. I love how I could throw it together in pretty much no time at all. And then there you go, you have an amazing healthy meal to serve to your family. That is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and on Sunday I'm going to be showing you a bunch of different one-pot meals, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it, and I will see you there. Bye for now.